Mind you, on the subject of superheroes, I'm just posting this into the live chat and the Hangout. It looks as though after Justice League, it looks like it's going to be a soft reboot for the DC cinematic universe, because I think they've kind of come to realize that their cinematic universe just isn't working, because it's as we've said before, Marvel have had years laying the groundwork for this, where they had 5 years to work up to the first Avengers movie, where there was at least 4, 5 prequel movies with regards to Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, and Captain America. By the time it got to the first Avengers movie, you knew who all the characters were, you knew all their little quirks and traits, you knew the kind of lines they would spout and what have you. But when they got into it, you know, the audience is not trying to pick up and learn all their own signature individualities going in beforehand, because by the time we get to the first Avengers movie, we know that Tony Stark has a lovable ass. We know that Steve Rogers is possibly the noblest soldier that ever lived. We know Thor is Thor. We know we know that Hulk had, you know, Bruce Banner has issues of trying to keep himself to himself because he doesn't want to hurt anyone. And it's just seeing all these ensemble characters come together. And I don't think... Yes, Ethan. We know you're an Iron Man fan, Navi. I think the only two... I think probably the most two characters that probably had the most highlights or the most presence, I think, would have been Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, because Rogers is, like I say, the noblest of them. He wants to deal with things in an ethical and orderly fashion, whereas Stark is the guy... He likes to stir the pot a little bit. He likes to be able to tease things a little. I suppose in that context, Steve Rogers is the Superman equivalent, whereby, you know, we got to play by the rules because, you know, we don't want to be crossing any lines. Whereas Tony Stark is kind of the Batman, where he will actually do things that are very questionable and and cross lines. And he gets to why he crosses those lines to be able to achieve the goal that they're going for. But at the same time,
yeah,
a few of them question why he does that. I appreciate sometimes you have to break the rules in order to get where you're going, but it's the fact that Stark on occasion has broken those rules once too many. Although I feel it's a nice character achievement. By the time we get to Spider-Man Homecoming, Stark has achieved some level of maturity, because he basically says to Spider-Man, you can't go being as reckless as that, because I want you... I know you're a fan of mine, but I want you to be better than me. I want you to not put people at harm's risk. If this had been Tony Stark circa 2008, it's like, you, sir, are a hypocrite. But this is 2017, and even then, Stark has matured a lot by that. He carries himself with a similar swagger and charisma, but you can tell that the guy's got a lot of wisdom under his belt now. He knows not to do certain things and what have you. I suppose he probably did a lot of growing up in Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 respectively, because you can see that he's looking at the choices that he's made throughout his time as Iron Man, and he's kind of like, should I really be doing that now, or should I really be trying to push the envelope in this particular direction? I suppose he's a little bit jaded, for lack of a better description, because we could all see from the first Avengers movie the whole wormhole experience changed him immensely, because when he came back down from that, even in Iron Man 3, where he's having his post-traumatic stress experience, you could tell that he's not the same Tony Stark as he was once before. And that's why, as he says in the third Iron Man, that's why he goes down and creates all these extra suits of armor, because it's something to distract him. It's just to keep his mind off of what happened, which is why eventually Pepper goes and sleeps on the couch when his Mark 42 comes and disturbs them whilst they're asleep, which I think that would disturb anyone if in the middle of the night a tech suit comes and wakes you up in your sleep, possibly trying to rudely awaken you. You're like, boundaries? There's a reason why we don't have you functional at this time of the night.
Tony, I thought you said you shut it down for the night.
And also, can we address the bunny?
Oh, the bunny.
Which bunny?
The giant bunny they had outside of it. Yeah, that bunny.
I think that was a present for Pepper, I believe.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, so
I'm all for different kind of gifts, but I don't think that's what she had in mind. I mean, Tony Stark could be one eccentric guy, but I think she looked at that and thought, "Okay, Tony, we're going to have talk." It's like, what kind of talk? The talk where you don't get what you want for a week. Ah, damn it!
Oh, jeez. How do you even get the giant bunny?
Just reading some comments from Steve. Now, though, with the comics, they now have 2 versions of Cap due to Secret Empire. I'm guessing.
Yeah, they do.
Wait, 2 versions of Cap. So wait, wait. I know there's. Are you referring to like 2 Steve Rogers, or just 2 like Captain America, like, you know, Falcon and Steve Rogers?
I think that's what he's referring to.
Yeah, that's what he.
Okay.
I was going to say, technically it'd be 3, since in the earlier days before he became Winter Soldier, there was a short time where Bucky took the mantle.
Wait, that was after Winter Soldier, wasn't it?
I believe
no, that was after Civil War.
It was after Civil War.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, he's talking about Hydra Cap and original. Yeah, we don't like to talk about that. I've heard enough of that from my brother.
Oh yeah, what happened to Bucky Cap, by the way? I remember like to that like post Secret Avengers.
Yeah, I think he went back to being Winter Soldier, and then there was this plot that revolved around. I'm trying to remember the freaking plot where he's on the wall of space or something like that, guarding it. I'm trying to remember what the storyline was called. It's on the top of my head. Something to do with the death of the Watcher. I can't remember. Bugs me. It's gonna freaking bug me. I don't remember.
All right. And Steven said the same thing. He went back to Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Oh God, it's gonna bug me if I don't figure out what that is. Because it was Nick Fury that killed the Watcher, I think. I don't remember.
Onto the subject we were originally on with Adam Wofford says original sin.
Thank you.
Okay. Onto the original subject, which is of Justice League is going to be a soft reboot.
I do want to say I like that. Sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to say earlier that I like that idea of having the characters be more separated and have them dealing with their own things. Instead of having it all be super interconnected like what Marvel's doing, it could help them like separate them, distance themselves from Marvel by doing this new style. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I always like the DC universe a bit more than the Marvel universe, where these characters are off in their own little cities or worlds, be it Gotham City, Metropolis, Atlantis, Themyscira, or what was Green Lantern's place, Star City or something.
Green Arrow.
Each of them have. Oh, that was Green Arrow's place. Okay, but each area, each superhero has their own. What's that?
Coast City. That's where Green Arrow's from. Green Lantern.
Okay, thank you. So all these characters live in their own, have their own little hub worlds, and so that's why I always felt like a big deal whenever any of these characters were to interact with each other. It always felt like a very big special event. But meanwhile, in the Marvel universe, it kind of felt a bit smaller to me because everyone essentially lives in New York.
Yeah.
And, you know, these characters are always like crossing and meeting each other on their way to work. So their crossovers never feel as special.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's like, holy shit, Superman is in Gotham City. Oh my God.
Also, I just need
to
to
be fair, in Batman versus Superman, it felt like they were really close by.
True, yeah.
It's like I think I remember this from the review the Nostalgia Critic did with Angry Joe. He's like, go back to Gotham. It's literally across the street.
Funny you mentioned that. I didn't like the idea that Metropolis and Gotham was literally separated by a river. I'm like,
that was more along the lines of done for the sake for plot convenience.
Yeah. And as we said, particularly with what we discussed in last year's end of year review panel, where you have that technically the second meeting between Bats and Supes. This is where they come across as hypocrites. It's like, next time they shine their light in the sky, don't go to it. The Bat is dead. Bury it. Consider this mercy. Who are you and what have you done with the real Superman?
Yeah, I know.
Like, have you learned nothing? Have you learned nothing? I thought you were supposed to grow from that sort of behavior in the first movie.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is something that me and Firebird. I know, Navi. I know you have your dislikes about it as well, but I need to say my piece.
Navi, let MJ speak.
Your key is a bad kitty.
Bad kitty, the bad kitty. Go talk to Oni. Yeah, wait, you're getting me for. I'm trying to make easy.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh god.
It's funny because he barely joined the chat.
Yeah, if you were in the chat right now, he'd probably go, I hate you all.
I hate you all. I hate you all so very, very much. Signed, General Oni Rakaku. He's at the other thinking, I hate you. I felt like they did the first meeting between Batman and Superman so much better in the animated TV movie, which is actually 2 parts from the Superman animated series World's Finest, where
I love that one.
I mean, even though it's an animated piece, they handle it so much better, where Superman basically says, like, I don't want you in this town. You'll be rid of me as soon as I'm done with the Joker. Although this is where there's a little bit of hypocrisy on Superman's part. He goes, I won't have vigilantism in this town. How do you explain what you do in Metropolis, Superman? You do things that's where you're
punching people through, shoving people through walls.
It's like Supes, I love you. You know that. But hypocrisy. I feel like I have to say it.
Because I'm Superman. Wait a minute, that's not my right voice.
It's like, wait, that's not.
I'm not sorry. I don't know where that came from.
It's like, wait, I'm supposed to sound like Tim Daly.
Well, the funny thing. Go on.
The one thing that bothered me about Batman vs Superman found out Batman's identity first. Technically, right? And it's normally Batman finds out first, isn't it?
See, they never give an explanation to that. All that happens when they have their third meeting before they get into the fight goes, Bruce, listen to me. And I'm like, Supes, how did you know his name was Bruce Wayne? At least with the 2 renditions from Superman the Animated Series and the Batman, Bruce actually X-ray visions through Batman's cowl. So at least that's done, staying true to what his capabilities are. But in Batman v Superman, all he says is, Bruce, listen to me. It's like, what? Like, you just know him because reasons. You didn't X-ray vision for sight. At that point, excuse my language, but I thought, fuck off. Oh, Chris Ortiz just says in the chat, yeah, thanks a lot, David Goyer.
Yeah.
Thank God he's not writing superhero movies anymore, I think.
Why? What did he do?
Howl?
Mind
What?
you, he probably didn't
No,
earn
I said
himself.
that.
He probably didn't earn
Doesn't-
himself a lot of favorability points when he went talking about Hulk and She-Hulk during that podcast where he talks about,
Yep.
yeah, that I'm just like, no, just no.
No.
Like Consuela. No.
I think one person on DeviantArt responded in kind where She-Hulk is saying, Goyer, do you even know the comic books that that you're adapting from when you make these movies? And then you just see Hulk say, She-Hulk is Hulk cousin. Gross, Goyer.
Oh God, I think I remember the artist that did that because I stumbled across it.
Let's see. I'm trying to see if he's working on any future superhero movies, and yep, there's a huge gap actually in his filmography according to Wikipedia. 2016 is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. 2020 Green Lantern Corps.
Also,
Oh,
they did
no.
a Green Lantern movie.
Yeah.
Took them long enough.
2020, yeah. So we're still about 2 years away because we're almost done with 2017.
I mean,
Yeah.
they did Batman a lot of justice with Batman Begins, and I don't know why that movie gets dumped on so much. I mean, all right, it's not, epic in the grand scale of things with regards to The Dark Knight, because that movie is a lot bigger. But with Begins, I felt they did more with a much more modest budget because they actually focused on the story more with Batman rather than focus too much on the visual spectacle with it. And the only nitpick I had with Begins, it took too long before he was actually in the cape and cowl for the first time, because at least with the first Tim Burton movie, he's already Batman, but you see like these little flashbacks to his past that actually says so much with so little. Because, and this was something I covered in the Batman versus Batman retrospective from earlier this year, they actually told a complete story of Batman's origin in just the 2 minutes reenacting the death of his parents scene, and the idea of, the Joker being the man that actually killed his parents, which we know in the comics now it was Joe Chill who did it originally. But there's much more of an emotional and, I suppose, angsty connection, for lack of a better description, for Batman to go after the Joker. It's like, you killed my parents. I'm not going to let this stand. And there was talk at one stage when they were revitalizing the superhero movie industry in the early 2000s. They toyed with the idea of casting Jack Nicholson as the Joker again, which from one angle would have been an interesting prospect, but at that point, I think Jack was getting into his 60s, maybe, because he was I think it was late 40s, early 50s when he did the first movie. And not to sound ageist, but I don't think it would have been right for him to come back for that, because he'd already left the impression as possibly the best Joker when he did that movie. The only thing I find and this is just like a minor nitpick, I've never been that keen on the idea of killing villains off after one movie. I always feel like, why can't you just put them away in Arkham? Because the only villains thus far that have never been killed off in the Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher universe is the Riddler, Poison Ivy, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's very cringeworthy performance as Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Those puns, damn it!
Who killed the dinosaurs?
Catwoman did die.
No, but then we never saw her again after that either, which was like, did she just retire or something? And here's a little thing. Here's the thing. Originally, it was going to be Annette Bening to be Catwoman and not Michelle Pfeiffer. Which would have been an interesting set of circumstances. I mean, not that Annette Bening couldn't have pulled it off, but Michelle Pfeiffer just made that role her own. Very, it's a word I'm trying to... I don't want to say very catty, because that would just be a very poor choice of words, particularly where to describe the character, but she just... It's one of those situations whereby there's a very blurred line between the actor portraying the character and the character itself. It's in the same context of between Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr., you can't tell which one is which, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah.
Although it'd be interesting if on his downtime, Robert Downey Jr. does happen to be a genius playboy billionaire philanthropist, and the way he's going with the way he's raking in money, he's probably not far off from doing it.
Yeah. I think with Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer had a bit of a duality between her. I think she was yeah, she can pull off the pathetic Selena Kyle and then the deranged Catwoman. That's why I love that. Anne Hathaway gets like I don't get you.
Anne Hathaway was all right, but I felt like she wasn't really giving it her all, if that makes any sense. It felt like she was just playing a part, whereas some characters, where some actors, when they look at a character, they try to find a way to be that character in the context of, you know, we all think of Christopher Reeve as Superman, not an actor playing Superman, or you have Robert Downey Jr. not trying to be Iron Man, he is being Iron Man, or in another context of really, Oni? He just says, by the way, I am here. I just had to use the restroom and took a Hydra cap. That bad. Dude, subtlety and discretion are not your best friends. Just saying. And
Nevi is like, more Catwoman!
Or another one whereby you can't really distinguish from the two too much. This is just more regards to the way that they become the character, Mark Hamill as the Joker or Kevin Conroy as Batman. Because those two actors have been associated with those characters for so long, it's difficult to tell one from the other. Although personally, I'm hoping on his downtime, Mark Hamill doesn't go throwing Joker bombs, leaving people with ghastly grins on their faces. That be like, Mark, the authorities might have something to say about that.
No, but chances are you can still tell that he has fun with his roles. I stumbled on a clip from the Justice League action cartoon the other day where he's interacting with all the characters he's done, voicing as himself, and you could tell he's having so much fun with it.
Where it's the Joker and the Trickster kidnapping Mark Hamill.
And being rescued by Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
What's the voice actor? Yeah, it's like you see the Joker kind of hanging from Swamp Thing's vines. What's a voice actor?
Yeah, and like Mark, that's right. Mark Hamill, he ends up like copying the Joker and Trickster's voices just to confuse the two of them and getting them to argue with one another.
the one I particularly enjoy, he's at a Q&A panel, or he's just at a live show, and somebody asking via Twitter, what would a conversation between the Joker and Luke Skywalker be like?
Oh, no.
Yeah, some voice actors pull that off really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke, your father never told you who he was. He didn't tell me anything. Well, don't worry there, kiddo. I'm your father. No, that's not true. Stick around, kiddo. The fun's just getting started.
Yes, and another person who did that quite well that I stumbled across on a YouTube video for was David Kay having a conversation as Beast Wars Megatron and Clank.
Oh my god.
Mind you, David Kay's also voiced Optimus Prime in Transformers Animated, which I thought,
yep.
Okay, that's a bit of a contrast going from the big bad from Beast Wars to being the noblest of noble Autobots in a successor series.
Kind of how Corey Burton went from Spike to Megatron.
Yeah, although I did like Corey Burton's take on Megatron, just this very dark, metallic tone, as opposed to the very sort of throaty one that we've been associated with so long with Frank Welker. Although I did notice with Transformers Prime, I don't know if this is just me, this is something me and Random picked up on. It seemed like Welker was trying to channel Hugo Weaving a little bit. He was purposely trying to go for this more
raspier voice, like old man
yeah,
voice.
Yeah, he was definitely going for a deeper voice, not the one that we remember so much from G1. And I was so surprised when it got to Transformers: Age of Extinction and The Last Night that. Yeah, they reverted back to Welker. Maybe Hugo Weaving just didn't want to do the role anymore. I don't know.
Right, because he said he didn't want to do any more like high concept comic booky films anymore.
Which is understandable.
Yeah.
It just felt so, because remember them saying, particularly with Michael Bay, he didn't really want to do the Welker voice for Megatron. He really wanted to make Megatron sound like evil incarnate, which for the first
That's
3 movies,
kind of what Megatron is.
But I don't know. And also, like I say, I know I keep harping on about this, but how the hell in The Last Night do we go from Megatron being Galvatron in Age of Extinction, all of a sudden in The Last Night he's Megatron again? I'm like,
here's your answer, MJ. Fuck you. That's why.
That makes a lot of sense. I will have plenty to say with my notes for the end of year panel, which is coming up in 3 to 4 weeks, I think.
Okay.
I was gonna say,
their frame of thinking is, what's that?
I was gonna say, in this day and age, the first thing that kind of popped in my head was Megatron wearing hipster glasses, going, "Did you just miss robots me?"
Did you assume my allegiance?
Check your privilege, sentient scum.
Steven just said Michael Bay doesn't care about plot or continuity. Yep.
No, he doesn't. He just wants to see things go boom.
And boobies.
And boobies, yes.
Oh,
all the boobies.
Dora Explorer movie. She was going to have a lot of cleavage.
Yeah, of course.
I'm surprised he didn't try to put in robot boobies. But he did kind of, but he didn't really care about those.
Funny thing, I remember watching the extra features for Dark of the Moon, and they said when Megan Fox walked on stage for that, she didn't really look like Michaela anymore, and I'm like, okay, guys, you know that's bullshit, and you know it. The real reason she was booted off of the franchise for the third movie is because of what she said about comparing Michael Bay to Hitler, and considering Spielberg is the executive producer for that
and
movie
Jewish
series, as you say, and Spielberg is Jewish. Megan, faux pas doesn't even come close to what you've just done. It's like, girl, no.
You done goof.
Is that like a French dressing or French dessert?
Is it a latte?
Is that
I
like
totally want lattes.
Is that something you make a sweater out of? Because I want to wear a faux pas.